been rendered. This week, Mango Airlines said it had reached an agreement with SAA Airways technical team after the maintenance company suspended its services due to non-payment. For more on this, let us now speak to SAA spokesperson Tlali Tlali, who joins me now live via Skype. And Tlali, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the viewers.
All right, so talk to us about the grounds of this agreement.
Perhaps as part of background and context, SAA is a subsidiary which provides aircraft maintenance services to a number of customers that include SAA Airline as well as Mango. Then the entity got to a point where, due to cash flow challenges, it was left with no choice but to exert pressure on its customers, and it did so in the form of suspending its aircraft maintenance services to its customers. That saw a situation where last week, Monday, parties coming together, sitting around the table to reflect on the situation as an effort to find a resolution around this matter. And we are pleased now to announce that the parties have reached an agreement as well as an arrangement that is in place that enables SAA Technical on its part to now lift the suspension to render services, and 2 out of the 4 customers that were impacted by this decision have also made arrangements and they have also made payment.
But are you able perhaps to talk to us about what this agreement entails?
The agreement entails a commitment towards settling the bill in terms of what we refer to as the legacy debt. That is the one part of it. And then the second part of it has to do with what we refer to as a prepayment. In other words, they will have from now onwards be advance payment on the part of the affected customers insofar as the services that must be rendered by SAA Technical to these airlines is concerned.
All right, so correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that the part of the rescue plan of the SAA mentions that 1 billion rand each is needed for Mango and SAA technical team, of course, to deal with historic debt. But however, we understand that the rescue practitioner's mandate does not extend to cover either one of those two. Can you just clarify that for us?
Indeed, that is the case. SAA Airline, if you like, is a holding company, and Mango, SAA Technical, and Air Chefs are the subsidiary entities. All of them together, they form what is referred to as an SAA group. So out of these 4, it is only SAA that is currently in business rescue, and the details around the business rescue plan, which is a roadmap towards driving the airline out of the current situation in order that it's supposed to operate and it becomes profitable when it operates. The implementation of that particular plan requires a particular amount of money, and in the short term, based on the quantification of the funding that is required, SAA requires approximately 10.5 billion, which will be apportioned in the form of payment to creditors, part of it being used to pay the employees what is referred to as the voluntary severance packages, and the other part of it is split into 2. Part A refers to working capital for SAA, and part B refers to the allocation that must go to these subsidiaries, which is the question that you are asking about, the billion that is required by one of the subsidiaries.
All right. So what plans have been put in place to ensure that the outstanding monies are paid to the South African Airways Technical going forward?
I think SAA is in a very precarious position at the moment, and the business rescue practitioners are on record indicating that funding is required in order to reinstate the services and for SAA to have working capital. Without responding to that particular needs to have a working capital for the business, it is going to be difficult for SAA to meet its financial obligations. So on the basis of the existing arrangements, parties have a consensus insofar as their behavior is concerned going forward. What this means is that, as opposed to what has happened in the last a few days, SAA and other customers have a responsibility to notify SAA Technical in the event they are unable to meet their financial obligations in terms of the payment of partly the legacy debt, but secondly, remember, as I've indicated, that part of the arrangement is to ensure that the work that must be rendered by SAA Technical going forward will require an advance payment. So those are some of the measures that have been put in place in order to ensure that SAA Technical is not impacted. As you are aware, SAA Technical was not able to fully pay the salaries to its employees who were adversely affected because they only got 25% of their salaries for the month of September. The payment that has now been made enables the entity to sit around the table with its union leaders, and this meeting taking place tomorrow morning in order to have an arrangement and agreement in terms of how the balance of the salaries will be paid to the employees now that part of the payment has been received.
Oh, all right. So what you're saying is that SAAT will now receive upfront payments for services that are yet to be rendered.
That's correct. As matters stand, the two airlines have legacy debt, and that there is an arrangement in terms of how that particular aspect is going to be dealt with insofar as the historical debt is concerned. But in order to avoid a situation where we are going to compound the issues with more debt accumulating, the new arrangement, which forms the second part of the pillar, entails advance or prepayment insofar as the services that must be rendered from now onwards are concerned.
All right. So in terms of flights resumptions, what do we know? When is the airline expected to resume flights?
Technical has already rendered services to its affected customers, two who are SAA and SAA Technical. As you are aware, SAA is not operating normal commercial flights the same way as all passengers and members of the public know. And the issue goes back to what I have touched on, and getting funding that will serve as working capital. So up until that issue has been addressed, there will not be normal commercial flights. What we have in the interim are specific and limited charter flights where we serve the specific requirements of certain customers, and that is what has been happening. The arrangement that has been put in place was enable SAA to be able to operate, because we had about 4 charter flights that were planned for this. As those are concerned. The situation insofar as Mango is concerned is also a positive development, which really gives a comfort, and then it takes away anxiety from the customers who already have purchased tickets, because now that the suspension has been lifted, it means that Mango will be able to continue to operate. There was an arrangement that was in place for Mango to operate, but now they are able to have access to a bigger fleet where they are able to serve as many of their customers as possible.
All right, we have to leave it at that, but we thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you.
All right, Tlali Tlali is SAA spokesperson talking to us about the SAA Technical deciding to lift the aircraft maintenance suspension of 2 out of 4 of its affected customers. You'd remember this follows that decision that was taken by SAA subsidiary to suspend maintenance services to 4 of its airline customers. All right, a quick break. I'll have some sports update for